I'm looking to heaven right now and I'm saying, God, have mercy on us as a nation and stop this cancer from spreading. So they say you're a Christian nationalist, don't they? Because you love America and you love Jesus. Probably like football too. You know what? Christian nationalist is a slur that has absolutely no basis in reality. You know what it reminds me of? Grape Nuts. The cereal that helps you lose fillings. Now, it says on the box, Grape Nuts. You open it up, you can't find one grape. You can't find one nut. There's no grapes, no nuts. That's what Christian nationalism is. You know, ever since that thing got on the cover of Budweiser can, the whole dialogue has been twisted. And it's like we can invent a term and you have to go with it. So you're phobic, you're this phobic and that phobic. And they're acting like you should not have a natural revulsion to this perversion. It's not a phobia. You're wrong. A phobia is a mental aberration. It means you're not normal. Not wanting your daughter to be beat up by a male in sports is not a phobia. It's called, we used to have a thing, it was called common sense. Somebody help me right now. That's what it is. You say you're trying to foment hate. We're not bringing the hate. We are watching hatred every day. We hear them say, oh, we need to tone it down. Next breath, Donald Trump is Hitler. You're too stupid to understand that, they say. You know, I love the Californians. You know, there's a lot of godly people in California. I heard a report today that they're going to the polls wearing garbage bags. You gotta love the Californians. You ever have a thing where you think, I wish I'd have thought of that? If ever we needed an individual to comment on the current situation in America, it is Dietrich Bonhoeffer. In verse 12, it says, some will make his weapons for war. Because there's money in war, because funds can be diverted in war, Kamala Harris will see to it that we enter a war. She's all about it. It's going to happen. And it's not simply because of her with her multiple accents. It is because of the people that control her. She has made a career out of being manipulative because she is capable of being manipulated. She's a blank canvas that can be written on by the highest bidder. And what we're going to watch, if she's put in power, is war. And what do you say then, before I get to the last part of this? And again, I'm moving as fast as I can. I'm really not a long-winded preacher. You're a long-winded audience, is what it is. What it is. God will not hear your prayers. Boy, you walk into a booth claiming the name of Jesus and you vote for Kamala Harris, And you think that's the end of it. God knows I'm an American. I don't really have any consequence to that. But what you've done in this case, what it represents in this case, is incontrovertible. And we know it because she told us not to vote for her. She, you're in the wrong rally. You just said Jesus is Lord. You're in the wrong rally. And she couldn't even tell the truth about that. She said, you need to go to the smaller one down the street. That one was 3 times the size of hers. She had 2,500 and there were 7,500 in Trump's rally in the same town. But she said it. And the capability that we have today, I'm from California. I remember when she had a man on death row as a district attorney, and the court, the prosecution, she represented the prosecution, a man is on death row. She had proof that he was innocent, wouldn't release him from death row. The defense had to go to court to force her to release a man she knew was innocent. Black families have suffered while she was Secretary of State. Because of truancy, she passed a law that she got a bill through the state that if your child missed more than 10% of school, that your parents could be put in jail. So there was a black woman in Oakland who had a daughter with sickle cell anemia. She sent officers to her house where there's a bedridden child. And she said it on video. I need money, money, money. This is what we're talking about. And what we're talking about here is going to get me in trouble. Believe me. You think, oh, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to be visited. But I thank God I live in Tennessee, because if some government folks decide to try that in a small town, yeah, it'll be very interesting. I've learned how to talk Southern. Yeah, boy. You know, I'm really not a bad person. My wife was in the kitchen the other day and she looked at me and she said, "You are the sweetest man in the world." She walked away, I could hear her muttering, and she spoke those things that were not as if they were. In that day, when socialism kicks in that day when curriculum that is transgender is forced on you, in that day when our economy tanks, in that day when war begins, I'm not talking to the atheists. I got nothing to say to you except get saved. I'm not talking to the liberal who's modernist Christian. No, I'm talking to you born again believers. Whatever your color, whatever your background, you remember the day. 2 days before the election, the man of God got up at Church of His Presence and said this: you walk into that booth, you vote for her, you're going to find an absolute issue with you and God. And you will see a consequence in your Christianity. And Samuel was not afraid to say it. You go through with this, you elect this guy, you bring in Saul, who I don't want. You do this, in that day you're going to pray. You're going to pray as a single mom. I don't have enough money. They're coming to get my child. They're taking away my home because I can't pay my property taxes. The government has grown and grown and grown and grown till there are hundreds of thousands of employees. sucking the blood out of the country. And in that day, you're going to say, Jesus, what's wrong? Why aren't you blessing me? And he's going to look at you and say, in that day, you walked in, you voted for a woman that believes a child can be killed even after a viable birth. When they asked her that, she wouldn't answer it. The most radical view on marriage, the most radical view on abortion, the most radical view on war. And you're going to call yourself a born-again Christian and sit there and tell me that out of loving your neighbor, you're going to vote for her? I promise you, it's going to affect your walk with God.